Okay, everybody, good evening and welcome to our webinar. First, I'd like to welcome everyone. You're all very welcome to the first webinar in the Wexford Coaching and Games series, which is in association with our main sponsor, Zurich. My name is Ray Harris. I'm the Games Development Manager in Wexford. I suppose for today, we're adapting to a new way of learning, a new way of coach developing and sharing ideas and learning. So bear with us today. It's the first one in our series. If there's any technical issues, just bear with us. We'll get it right. Looking forward to this tonight. Yeah, so basically this webinar is on an area that's a huge priority in Wexford. We really do focus on having an active start, an active nursery, age appropriate skills aimed at really, I suppose, helping the GAA become the first love for all these kids. With me tonight is Al Monaghan, who's a Games Promotion Officer in Wexford. Al is going to take the lead for most of this. In support of Al, we have another Games Promotion Officer in James Donoghue. And on the technical side of things, we have one of our performance GDAs, which is Derek Hassan. So together with myself, we'll pop in and out of this, but Al will be taking the lead on it. Al's great experience when it comes to this area. So just to let everyone know, we are recording it tonight. If there's any issue with that, let me know. It's for ourselves. The video will be sent to everybody at the end of this over the next couple of days. We'll also be looking to do a question and answer towards the end of the presentation. So if you have any questions, please use the text box and write up your questions, and we get to you hopefully at the end, or anything throughout. Just throw it in the text box, and we're keeping an eye on it. In the meanwhile, can everyone please make sure that your cameras are turned off and you're also on mute. I'll be on for long, but anyone with a camera or has a microphone open is muted now. And yeah, I'm going to pass you over to Al now, and we'll get going. And looking forward to talking to you all throughout.
Okay, guys, this is the first technical issue tonight. So I'm chatting away here, and we're on mute. So it just goes to show I am totally 100% out of my comfort zone, sitting here in front of a monitor. How I kind of excel in my coaching style is very personal, getting on the pitch, meeting people, and that's how interaction is a massive thing for me. I suppose we're lucky enough down in Wexford that we have a team of full-time staff, GPOs, GDAs, and every one of us kind of has a different niche, which is great because we're all able to help. Like even tonight we have myself, James, Dara and Ray. This wouldn't have been able to happen without an input from the four of us. So for me, I'm totally passionate about developing fundamental movements and motor skills in kids. It's what I do. I love it, and I'm lucky enough that it's my job. There's not too many people can say that what they work at, they love doing. So it's brilliant, and I hope that comes across in the presentation. So before we even start, I totally get how Ryan Tubridy feels at the moment when he's doing the late show and there's no one in the audience. It is a weird and new experience, and unfortunately for the way things are going at the moment, it's the best we can do for now. But look, getting yourself out of your comfort zone is not a bad thing. And sure, look, we'll crack on. So I hope you enjoy the presentation. I hope everyone takes something out of it. There will be a little bit of interaction along the way, so pay attention. And there'll be at a couple of times I'll ask Ray to handpick a coach maybe and turn your mic on, and we'll get a bit of feedback. I'm just looking at the names coming in there. Liz Freeman in Eldred, how are you getting on? Richie Flynn, how are you doing, Rich? So without further ado, then let's crack on. Okay, Dara. Okay, so when I was given the topic of what a nursery is and how to plan a nursery, these are the 8 areas that I feel need to be addressed. Okay, so some people will agree and disagree. That's cool. I'm just trying to provoke the thought process. Okay, so they're under the following headings: what's a nursery, getting started, coach recruitment, expectations, planning and communication, layout, sample session, games portfolio, and resources. Okay, so look at before we get any further, can I just get, if you just drop into the text box, if you can give me a thumbs up. If everybody's sitting back comfortable and you can hear me and everything is going okay. So Ray is going to be in charge of the text box for me. Ray, are we getting any messages?
Yeah, I'll leave a couple of thumbs up there. All right, yeah, just keep them coming in, lads. But it looks to be good.
So good to have you all sitting back and relaxed. So what I want you to do straight away, guys, is I've been sitting in front of this computer for the last 6 hours, and I'm sure most of you guys, if anyone working from home, is the same. What I want you to do is bear with me for the minute, right? Just jump up out of your seat. Okay. First thing I want you to do is, I call this one the monkey shuffle. So make like a monkey. Unfortunately, you're not allowed to get used to turn your cameras on, so I'm going to have to trust that you're doing it, okay? The next one that we're going to do is we're going to do what I call the flamingo. So up on one leg, bend out in front, and onto the other leg, bend out in front. And the last one, any nursery coach worth his salt or her salt has to know this one, because at some stage in your nursery career, you will be asked to perform the floss. So I want you to give the floss. If, like me, you're not 100% at it, it's okay. Just give it a shot. Kids will make that bond with you, and you'll start building rapport once they see that you don't take yourself too seriously. Okay, so back to the slideshow. Dara, flicker on there for me, please, will you? Okay, so this is what we in Wexford GAA, this is our, I suppose, definition of what a nursery is. So a nursery is a safe and fun environment where kids come to learn and develop the fundamental movements and physical literacy skills required to play the game and lead a healthy lifestyle. Okay, so develop the fundamental movements and physical literacy skills. So look, it's like this: you go to school to learn your literacy skills, you go ahead to learn how to read and write. So we feel that a nursery is a place with a safe environment, somewhere that kids will feel at ease, not afraid to make a mistake, and come to learn and develop how to use their bodies correctly. At no stage in that sentence is stick on a helmet, put a hurl in the hand straight away, start throwing skills into them, because we believe that a nursery is not for that. And that's why we have it categorized as an active start. Okay, because that's all we're doing, is creating an active start and giving the building blocks for them to work with. Okay, so what else is a nursery, right? It's a conveyor belt for both players and coaches. So every year, my job is a games promotion officer. So my job, and part of it is to get more players into the club. Okay, so how do we get players into the club? The nursery is an absolute no-brainer. Get as many players into the nursery as you can, but that can lead to problems too, because the more players you have, the more coaches you need. Okay, so if you have a nursery that's working well, the players will come, and if you can get the parents involved, the coaches will come with it. Okay, so age 4.5 to 6, boys and girls. At this age, psychologically and physically, there's no main difference between boys and girls, so it's a great way to get both of them together, and you're increasing numbers in the boys and girls side of the club. It is the first taste of club life, right? This is one that we hold here down here in Wexford, right? Research has proven that if the child's initial introduction to the sport is positive, it will lead to a lifelong involvement. Okay, so that's a powerful statement. So your first impression, if they get a good first impression of your club, and what we like to say is, if you can create a graph for your club, okay, a love of the club, it will last a lifetime. And that's what we want. We want our kids to stay and play, have a long, healthy playing career, and then at the end of it, to give something back to the club. Okay, and then on the bottom there, we have child and parent activities to enhance the experience, right? So this plan to have the kids and the parents involved, and it improves the experience for both. Okay, Dara, last year on there. Okay, so how do we get started? Number one, get to know the parents in the area, get to know what kids are coming up along, so you'll have an idea of who to approach. Do a little survey, see what day and what time suits. Okay, so if there's a soccer academy on a Friday evening, don't put it up against the soccer academy. If there's a rugby thing on, find a time and a day that suits everybody, where there's no competition and it becomes the GAA nursery slot. Okay? Advertise, which, guys, all this, it's not rocket science. I didn't want to go down the technical end of things. I wanted to go through this is how I love learning. Keep it simple. 9 times out of 10, it's the best way. So advertise. Flyers through the school, kind of a thing of the past now. I know down here in Wexford we have an app called Aladdin, where the school can make contact with the parents. If you have a good relationship with your school, you can get them to advertise through that. Social media from the club, an excellent form of communication. Word of mouth, which is perfect. And the last one there, which is really super important one, is book your venue. So even before you start, make sure that you book your venue and that it is guaranteed. At this age, it is absolutely crucial for kids to have routine. So if the nursery's on a Saturday morning, it's on every Saturday morning. The nurseries that tend to stop and start and eventually stop. They just don't work. We try and develop a nursery where it becomes part of your weekly schedule. It allows parents to plan for it, and it allows kids the opportunity to look forward to their nursery on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning, whatever the case may be. Okay, Dara, move her on. Okay, so we're going to get to the serious bit now. Oh, Jesus, hold on for 1 second. Lads, this is brilliant with live TV. I have someone that are coming in here. Hello. This is Muscles the monkey, okay? And Muscles, he said he wants to show you how strong he is. So over to you for a second.
Up Wexford.
Good man, Muscles. Off you go to bed. Okay, guys. So in my time as a nursery coach, this has happened numerous times. First of all, I say in showbiz, don't work with kids or animals. And I kind of pulled that one off there because that's my little fella. And obviously he's dressed as a monkey. I have spent time in an Easter bunny costume, a chicken costume, a dog, the monkey. And did I make a fool of myself? Absolutely. Was I uncomfortable? Of course I was. Did the kids love it? Absolutely. Right? So the point we're trying to get across, and I hope the trend through the whole thing tonight will be that this is a totally child-based experience. The needs of the child have to come first before any egos or anything else. And again, keeping it as fun as you can. Okay, so back to the serious stuff, right? So recruitment and education. Horrible words. People hate hearing them. But it's part and parcel of getting your nursery started, okay? So what we did last year in Wexford, and it worked really well, was as the GDA and the GPO, that's our coaching officer, our full-time staff, we ran 2 nurseries, one in the workshops, one in the north of the county, one in the south of the county. We invited all the nursery coaches from any club, didn't matter where you were, to the one venue on the one night. So we had one in the north, one in the south. It was a great way of bringing coaches together to share experience, lack of it, what works, what doesn't work, and then to utilise the experience and the knowledge from the GPOs and the GDAs. So for anybody who doesn't know what Turris is an initiative that is rolled out through Leinster, okay, and it goes a bit into really age-specific workshops. I'm going to let James come in now in a minute and talk through that for you a little bit more to explain for anyone outside of Leinster who's not familiar with it, okay? So I'll plough on and then I'll let James talk at the end. So from my experience last year, I was a GPO up in Gorey, and we had a Turris workshop, and at one of the Turris workshops there was 30 odd coaches there, and 12 of them were from a club I was with at the time called Cranford. Absolutely fantastic. After the nursery, which is an informal workshop, we then could identify what we call a group of people, parents slash coaches who were interested. The reason I know they were interested is because they went to the workshop. The reason I knew they were really interested is because they stayed behind after the workshop, formed a committee, and the Cranford Nursery was born. which is fantastic. So that's one part of it. The next part then is your Garda vet and your safeguard and your foundation. So the terrace workshop is, and then hopefully in July. Hello. Okay, just remind you, keep your microphones turned off, please. Okay, so the terrace workshop is an informal workshop. Okay, which is great, which will lead you down to point 3. Any coach who wants to coach in Ireland, by law of the country and coach in Ireland, must be Garda vetted and safeguarded. Okay, so your safeguarding, if you've done your nursery informal workshop, the safeguarding is a formal workshop, and it's a good step to gear you towards it. Okay, so if you have the 2 of those, the next step on then is your foundation. The joy of the nursery is when the activities are parent and child based, it allows you to be involved as with your own child. But again, Garda vetting and safeguarding are a must, with a lead on to the foundation. Utilize your GPO and your GDA. So for any county who don't have GPOs or GDAs, so a GPO is a games promotion officer, a GDA is a games development administrator. So it's the full-time staff. We run the workshops. Only too happy to get clubs ringing in and asking us to come out and deliver. It means there's an interest. Anytime there's an interest, you must be doing something right. For the clubs who do have a GPO and are familiar with the process, I think they'll back me on this one and saying the club school link is absolutely crucial for the development of the club. I coach in 6 different schools, 5 different schools a week, and again, the routine for the child is massive at this age. So they get to see me once a week in the school and once a week in the nursery. So that's 2 connections during the week that build on the rapport and the routine, okay, which enhances their experience when they come to nursery. Another thing is that if you haven't got a GPO on your club and you're lucky enough to have a teacher in the school who is connected to the GAA or your club, get them involved, ask them to help you out and create that link between the school and the club. Okay, so I'm just going to hand you over to James for a minute, and he's going to talk you through what the whole terrace is about. Okay, James, you there?
Thanks, Al. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Perfect. Look, guys, I won't keep you too long on terrace, but just most of you will be familiar with it. Some of you won't be. So just quickly, what terrace is. Essentially, terrace is a resource which can be used by any coach of any age group all the way up to under 17 right down to nursery. And I suppose, why is terrace important? The reason you're here is every age group has different needs. So if we look at the nursery age group, they have more specific needs than the age group above them, the under 6, under 7s. So what terrace is a resource informing you what you should be doing or what you could be doing with your own age group to make it relevant. There's 4 areas which the resource itself focuses on. The coach, what kind of coach you need to be with your specific age group. The player itself, what to expect from the actual player. The game, what way should the child be playing the game, and then the environment which you put in place for the actual player. There's resources cards like this going around. There's also the workshops which Al has already talked about. If you want to know more about, if you are from a club in Wexford in particular or Leinster and you haven't heard about terrace before and you want to know more about it, just contact your GPO or your relevant coaching office. Essentially, just to summarize, it is a player pathway. So it's knowing exactly what to do with your own age group. I don't have children or anything like that, so I found a player pathway when it came to the nursery very useful, because obviously there's coaching and then there's managing 8 or 9, 6 or 5 or 6 year olds, and it's a completely different kettle of fish. But Al will be going through some of the games that you can play with those kids soon enough. Thanks, Al.
Lovely. Well done, James. Okay, Dara, flicker on there for me, please. Okay, so following on from James then, right, the expectations, right? So you have your expectations versus reality. So if you look on the graphic there, I have lashed up a picture of what the tourist card is, right? Which you'll get through the tourist workshop, and basically it's tips and guidance, very much similar to what we have here tonight. But as James said, the key to it is it's all age specific. Okay, so when we're talking about a nursery, certain things that you expect from the coach. Okay, so the coach has to bring fun. Absolutely, paramount that the nursery is a fun environment where kids enjoy it. You need lots of variety. You need to be organized. You have to have a plan, and you have to be prepared to upskill yourself. Okay, plateauing is when you just plod along, and if you get stuck in a rut, as I said to you earlier on tonight, I'm totally out of my comfort zone doing this, but as we go through it, it's actually not too bad. So the more you push yourself and step outside your comfort zone, the better you're going to be. Next of all, then, is the player. So what do you expect? What can you expect from the player at this stage? At this age, so you're talking 4.5. The first thing is, again, they're looking for fun. They're not looking to learn skills and drills. They want to have a fun experience where they can enjoy it. At this age, kids are very self-centered. It's a very intrinsic age where, you know the saying, there's no I in team. Well, at this age, there's no team, it's all I. So you have to take that into account. Okay, so have loads of equipment so that they mightn't have to share at the start, and everyone will have a ball, or everyone will have a cone, or whatever the activity may be. Also, psychologically and physically, there's no difference between boys and girls, so you lump them all in together, and they'll learn and develop together at the same rate. They have a very short attention span. So this is where, as a coach, the expectations of your coach to be organized and to be planned. If you're not organized and planned, bear in mind that the attention span of a 4-year-old is probably about 10 seconds. If you don't know what's coming next, that will relate across to the kids, and it will detract from the experience. Okay, and then the last one, which is super important, is expect honesty. Kids at that age are brutally honest. If something is going well, they'll tell you, and if it's not, they'll tell you too. In my experience, there's two ways they'll tell you. Number one is verbally, they'll tell you it's not good, they're not enjoying it, and the second one is with their feet. Okay, so they won't come back. So if you notice a decline in your attendance, it might be worth a little bit of self-reflection on how the thing is going. Okay, so then the experience itself. Number one, top of the list again, is fun. And it's no coincidence that fun is the top on the forum, because it has to be fun. And by fun, it can mean enjoyable as well. Okay, so it has to be a safe place to come and learn and develop. And by safe, I don't mean health and safety issues where there's broken bottles or nails sticking out. It's a safe environment where kids can come, express themselves, make mistakes in the comfort and the knowledge that they're not going to be given out to. They're allowed to express themselves. It's encouraged. And it also, the routine, it must be constant. It has to be constant. If it's going to be on a Saturday, it's going to be every Saturday. Okay, lots of equipment to vary the games that you can play as well, and that's in the category of the experience. So for your activities, then, again, top of the list is fun. Keep the group small to allow lots of touches, and that will allow loads of opportunity for success. Okay, and the biggie for me in this one, include mom and dad. Okay, the more you include mom and dad, you're increasing the holistic experience, both for mom and dad and the child. So also, you're getting the foot in the door for the recruitment for your new coaches. If mom and dad are enjoying the experience and are getting involved, well, you have a better chance of recruiting them for coaching too. Okay, Dara, shoot her on there. Now, okay, so I talked long and hard about the layout. Again, this is what works for me and for us down in Wexford. So it mightn't work for everyone. The joy of the GAA is every club in Ireland and in fact all over the world is completely different. Even tonight, I'm glad to see there's people from New York, Hong Kong. I'll be famous after it. but they're all tuning in. So what works in Wexford mightn't necessarily work everywhere else. But again, all we're doing is we're trying to give you an insight into how we look at things, and hopefully you'll take bits and pieces out, and it will improve the experience for your kids. Because at the end of the day, it's not Al Monaghan's session that works. It's how much the kids enjoy it. Okay, so for me, again, 45 minutes to an hour max, plenty for kids. I like to have them so that at the end of the session they're wanting more. So not to go too long and leave them with the hunger, so they'll want to come back to you. Again, stations work for me. So I would design my nursery in 6 stations, where you would rotate every 8 to 10 minutes per station, keeping the groups small. And if you have bibs to distinguish between the groups, all the better. It gives them a sense of identity and belonging, and it's also easier to keep an eye on them. Vary the activities, so have a different activity in every station. And then I like to bring them together at the end and have one big game where you'll include mums, dads, grannies, granddads, whoever's coming to pick them up, and have them all included at the end. The last one then, rota, is a kind of a, I put it there and then it's sticking out and it's annoying me. Maybe I shouldn't have put it in this one at all, but I feel for this one is related towards the coaches. Rather than have the same coach at the same station every day, rotate your coaches. If there's an area where a coach feels they're out of their comfort zone, or let them have a try at it. The more different things you do, the more things you try, the more experience. You can't beat experience. So rotate, and that will enhance the experience for the kids as well when they see all the different coaches. Okay, Dara, pop her on. Okay, planning and communication. Again, this is what I mean by planning. Okay, so I don't know if you can see it. I hope you can. Basically, what it is a clipboard with a blank page on it, and I draw a grid on it, mark it into 6 squares, and I write down a different activity in each grid, and I have an arrow pointing the direction that the games or the kids will travel between each station. So it doesn't have to be something done up on Canva with super duper graphics. That's not how I work. And again, it's up to yourself, whatever. Like, I know if I was asking Dara, who's more technically gifted than I am, he would absolutely blow you out of the park with graphics and everything else. Would the message be the same? Absolutely. So whatever works for you, use it. Okay, find out what each coach is comfortable with. For me, I started this about 7 or 8 years ago. I went back to college and I did a VTOS coach with down in Wexford. And the first thing I did was we did a dance called the Agadoo, and it was kind of like my monkey thing earlier on, where I was doing the ooh ooh ooh, and I got out of my comfort zone. Was I comfortable doing it? Absolutely no way. So there are people who are made for doing it. There's people who grow into it, and there's people who are totally not comfortable with doing it. So you have to find out your strengths within your group, your core group of coaches. There will be coaches who are totally at ease, rolling around on the floor, having a joke. There are coaches who will absolutely not be comfortable with it, but might be absolutely fantastic on the techie side of stuff, or sending the texts, or making sure that the bibs are allocated and the stuff is there on a Saturday morning. So you use each other's strengths, work with each other. Take a roll call. This is something that I find is absolutely a fantastic way of breaking the ice. It's a great way of building rapport. It's a great way of meeting parents at the door and the children and getting to know their names. And if you get to know the kids' names, again, it's introducing that personal touch to it. Also, it allows you to take a log of who's attending, or on the downside, if kids are stopping coming, it allows you then to focus on them and put a little bit more effort into them and find out what's wrong, get a bit of feedback. Okay, so, and the last one then, ensure everybody knows their role before you rock up on a Saturday morning. So there's no point in having one coach who's done the session plan and everything absolutely brilliant, and then on a Saturday morning arriving up and not having it shared and communicated with the other coaches. So I know what normally works for me is on a Thursday night or Wednesday or Thursday night, just stick it up and send it out to the coaches in the group. Everybody then has a chance to look at it, know what they're at, and when you arrive on Saturday morning, then everybody is hitting the ground running. Okay, Dara, on we go. Okay, so sample session. Remember I showed you this a second ago. I held it up to the camera, right? So if you look at the names of the games, some of you might have heard of them before. A lot of them are just stuff that comes into my head, or I see an idea somewhere and I take it and I tweak it and I think this could work. A lot of them do, a lot of them don't. So don't be afraid to try stuff, and if it falls on its arse, or what about it? So we have cats and mice, pooper scooper, chariot races, snooker loopy, dot to dot, and bounce with dad and mum. So this is just a sample session. And rather than me sitting here trying to talk you through the games, I have a couple of little videos lined up, and they're 30 seconds each. We're gonna go through the games, and I'm gonna ask a few questions at the end, possibly. So what I want you to do, while we're looking at the games, I want you to pay attention. In the text box, I want you to write down any of the fundamental movements you can identify from the videos, especially if they're repeated. Okay? So I'm going to ask Ray. Ray, you keep an eye on the texts coming in, and I'll stop the video then, and we might pick a victim, or I mean a coach, to turn on their mic and explain if they've written in a text. Okay?
Yeah,
All right,
just
Tara?
sorry now, before you go there, as Al said, guys, keep an eye, type in the text box. This is an active start nursery, so any activity you see there that's keeping the kids active, be it running, jumping, whatever it is, type it into the text box and see how many you can come up with. So Dara's gonna move on now to the video. Just be as active as you can in the text box. Okay, thank you. All right, Dara.
Dara, there's no sound. Okay, guys, I'm going to talk you through it. So this one is cats and mice. Basically, you took your bib into the back of your shorts and you have to get from one side to the other. Once you get back over to the dots, you're safe. The guy in the middle is the cat. He's the catcher. So the idea is make it from one side to the other. Next, we have a little progression where each mouse has a beanbag which represents a piece of cheese. So the mice are going to throw out the video's gone on me. Okay, we'll just give it a second now and Dara will be back full steam ahead. Okay, so you can see they're throwing out the beanbags. I like to get them to throw it out underarm because you're actually early development of the hand pass movement. Now on the way out, you have to grab your piece of cheese and continue across and keep your tail as well. Okay, the next one then, this game is called Pooper Scooper. So each team has a yellow basket and a color-coded cone. So you have the orange, the red, the blue, and the green. On the whistle, then I'll blow the whistle and they run out. You're only allowed to pick up one ball at a time, and it must be color coded. So the reds can only pick up the reds, the greens can, and etc. Okay. If you had 30 kids, you'd have loads more baskets and loads more cones, or else 3 is the magic number. Have 3 in a group where they pass the cone over on the way back in. Okay, perfect. Now I'll give Dara a second to have a look at that. See can he work on the sound for me. So Ray, are you there? They're all deserting me now. Ray, pick a victim for me to have a chat with, will you please? Okay, can I pick someone then? Let me see. Richie Flynn, will you turn on your microphone for me?
Yeah.
How's things in Ratnure?
Very good now, very good. And yourself? You're
Good
doing
man,
well.
good man, brilliant. The wonders of modern
I think right Tumberdale is probably safe enough for a while.
Absolutely. I wish I was getting his money. Okay. Richie, can you identify any fundamental movements that were visible in the 2 games?
The one I tied up there was in the pooper scooper was the squat from kids wouldn't be called it a squat, but lots of squatting down and bending to pick the ball up and bringing it back.
Perfect. Absolutely brilliant. Now, from a trained coach's eye then, so the technique when they were scooping the ball up with the cone and then carrying it back in like that, what two skills would that replicate in the game of hurling?
Yeah, your progression onto the jab lift and the solar run.
Absolutely perfect. Okay, Richie, thank you very much, pal. I knew I could rely on you. Bang off the mic there.
Sorry, Al.
Oh,
I'm back there
cheers.
now. There's a guy. I'm going to ask Thomas Cronin to come in there if he can open his mic. He put a good bit of stuff into the chat. So Thomas,
Yeah.
if you're there and you have a mic, would you come in and tell us a bit about yourself and your background? If not possible.
Are you there, Thomas?
If it's not possible, we move on. Yes, we move on. If it's not possible, we'll just move on. If Thomas wants to come in, just send a message again.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so just to go back on what Richie said there at the end, right? So the movement's very similar to the jab lift and the solo. Absolutely perfect, right? But we won't be worrying about the jab lift and the solo for probably another 3 or 4 years down the line. So imagine if we can do these games on a regular basis, the amount of times that the muscle memory will kick in, that you've done the technique. So when it comes to the time of learning the skills and it's age appropriate, we'll have done all the groundwork before in our nursery. So the thing that I'm trying to get across to you is, even though the fun games and the activities might look like fun, and that's what they're meant to be for the kids, the benefit to them for their development of their fundamental movements and their motor skills is phenomenal. Okay. Okay, so Dara, click around there for me then. See if we got a bit of sound this time. No? Okay. Snooker loopy is this one. So have a look on the camera and we'll see the triangles similar to on the snooker table. And this one, really simple. All you have to do, run out with your ball. Ready, boys? 3, 2, 1. Go. Squat down, place the ball down, back in for the next one. Okay, so again, we have 3 brothers here. These are my 3 young lads. And the competition between them is as exactly as you'd expect from young lads. Their twins are 11 and Ben is 15. Has that froze for anybody else, or is it just me? Ray?
No, it's froze for me as well. We'd have to start it again there, I'd say. There we go.
Perfecto. So instead of watching the activity, guys, what I want you to focus on is the fundamental movements. And again, the secret to coaching for me is repetition without getting boring. So a couple of different games where the same movement, but in a different scenario. Okay, this one then is dot to dot. So we have a series of cones. No, this is mum and dad bounce. Okay, so brilliant one for getting your mum and dad a bit shy, don't have a sporting background involved. All you have to do is stand out, hold the ball, kids come out and make it challenging for them. So if you look, we're working off both sides, so they're coming around from both sides. There's the direction, and we're changing it now, so we're going up for a high catch. Up we go. Super duper. Now look at there, go the other side, lads. Good lads. This time, look, a little bit of an element of surprise. I think I even give it a yoop. And again, a very friendly way of getting a coach involved or a parent involved and really, really enhancing the experience for the kids. Okay. And there's the last one, the big high catch for Benny. Okay, this one is called dot to dot. And again, a load of squatting and a load of hand-eye coordination. So for the first round, all you have to do, you see we have our 2 teams lined up behind the cones. First person in the line has to place the ball onto the next cone, then back in and high-five the next person, and on we go. Now, guys, there was audio with this video, but look at it, it's our first one. And I think the boys are just loving putting me on the spot. So it's a pity that you can't hear the reaction of the boys, because even at 11:15, and the Anna Bjog in the pink t-shirt is my wife, she's 21. The screams and the hollers of enjoyment is brilliant. Okay, are we froze all together, Dara? No, we got on, we're going again. As you can see, the two boys on the lower end have mastered that one. So what I'm doing here is I'm just doing a progression for each round rather than going through it. So the first time we had to move the ball from one to the other. So this time what I want them to do is to bounce the ball in between. And I would emphasize squat down nice and low, bounce the ball and place it down gently. Next one then is we're going to do the opposite. So we're going to throw it up. Make sure that it doesn't go too much up past your eyes, so you can keep an eye on it at all times. Next round then, we're going to call this one the little mouse around the house. So we're starting off in one hand, going around the back and putting it down with the other hand. So loads of touches left and right, and bilateral development. Next one then, the figure of 8, stretching out the hamstrings and the glutes. And again, loads of handling from both hands, left and right. Next one then, up and a little bit of clap. And on we go. Again, this kind of game is really good because you are the master of the conditions and you can get as much out of it as you want. Again, it will be dictated by the development of the group, okay, and the skill level that they're at. But again, so far we've gone through 6 games and I haven't really mentioned hurls and helmets or sort of skills. It is all fundamental movements and physical literacy skills. Okay, Dara, flicker on again.
Sorry, I'll just come in here for a second there. We've a good question in the text box from James Raleigh, I think the name is. How would this work in a hurling background? I think I go first, Al, if you don't mind. The point we're making here with the active start is that the skills we're working on are transferable. So it's not sport specific, so the game doesn't really matter. It's kind of more building the athletic capacity of the kids at this age. So not really game specific. You're still working on all the fundamentals for hurling. So the running, jumping, throwing, catching, coordination, that kind of things. So for us, while it will be hurling specific, I suppose, with a hurling background, but the skills, these skills are transferable to a lot of different sports. Would you agree with that, Al?
Absolutely, 100%. And that's why we call it an active start. And giving the child an experience where they can develop and understand how their body works. By the time it comes to specialize in particular skills or areas, they're at a vast advantage over kids who don't go to a nursery. And again, I'm a firm believer. Look, I work for Leinster GAA. I'm also the chairman of my local soccer club. I'm involved with a surfing club, horse riding, and I am a firm believer of play as many sports as you can, be involved in as many sports, and take a little bit from everything. There is plenty of time to specialise further down the line. But what we're about in Wexford is giving the kids those tools to develop and be the best that they can, and just be confident in their body. And as much as it is about the GAA and the club, we're making a difference to them in their lives, and that's the gift that you can give. So I hope, James, that answers your query. Okay, so what I have next is I have done a list of games, right? Call it the games portfolio. Again, look at the names; they're all kind of child friendly. I do tend to try and come up with sort of wacky names to get the interest going from the start, and like your use of language is paramount when you're talking to kids, because you could talk about your ABCs and your RJTs and dynamic movement and agility, and your interest from the kids would be nothing. But if you can ask them to play a game of blow ball or beat the buzzer, you have a better chance of getting it out of them. So again, we have another video. I hope the sound is on it. If it's not, you're going to be sick of hearing me talk. Dara, give her a shot and we see how it goes. Okay, no sound again. Brilliant. Okay, this game is called Reaction Drop. Again, we have Anna as mum. standing in, and we have the two boys, one on a green disc, one on an orange disc. So there's 4 green balls and there's 4 red or orange balls in the cone. Mum is going, and the whistle is going to throw them up in the air, and all you have to do is run out, pick them up, and back in. And the first person back in who shouts zippity-doo is the winner. Okay. Next one then is blow ball. So for this one, all you need is your cones. If you look at, it's a kind of similar setup to dot, and that's not by chance. I'll talk about that in a second. So you have a ping pong ball, each of them, and all they have to do is blow it from one end to the other, keeping inside your lane. Okay. Now, if you look at Ben here on the inside, Ben is 15, so he's working on the bear crawl, and I'll come back to that. Next one is beat the buzzer. So again, all you have to do, Mum is involved in this one. Look, kids are loving it. You can rest it on the baton. If it hits the child's body, you get a big eh. And then the next one is, it's a game called Bocce. So basically, it's a target game. Okay, so you peg out the first one. So Ben has the green counters, Finn has the blue ones, and the yellow one is the target. Now, this can work with beanbags. It can work with whatever equipment you have yourself. I'm lucky enough to have that set. So you're developing hand-to-eye coordination, a little bit of wrist action, target, and again, a little bit of competition. Healthy enough. If you stop her there then, Dara, for a second. Okay, so these games, I've specifically picked out these games because I feel that they're games that the parents can get involved in, right? And they're a bit of fun, and they're hitting lots and lots of the fundamental movements. So the one with the blow ball, as I said to you, Ben was 15. He was doing the bear crawl. Okay, so he was doing totally all over body workout, upper body, lower body, controlling his respiratory system, a bit of coordination, and a bit of crack. Okay, a 4-year-old won't do that because they're not tuned to do it yet. So what you'll get is you'll get guys sliding on their bellies. You'll get guys pushing the ball along with their hands. You'll get guys sucking at the ball instead of blowing at it. But sure, what about it? That's what they're meant to be doing. That's how they learn in a safe environment. The reaction, the drop reaction, again, it's another one where if a parent is a little bit standoffish, all you're asking them to do is hold a bucket of balls and turn it upside down. The value that the kids will get out of the fact that mum or dad is in control of the balls is fantastic. And again, for that one, you're working on reactions, you're working on agility, you're working on evasion, you're working on hand-to-eye coordination, spatial awareness so you don't bump into the other kids. And all the kids are aware of is that they have to just run out and get the 4 balls. But again, further down the line, when all this stuff becomes relevant and we're coaching evasion skills and we're coaching the jab lift and the roll lift, they'll have the building blocks there because we have done so much work from nursery up. Is that someone jumping in? Okay, and again, like just to sort of go back on James's point there, is it like how would you adapt it for hurling? Like I wouldn't see a big difference in evasion skills for hurling and football at this level because all we're doing is we're giving them the basics. And then look, you have plenty of time to perfect the art. So Dara, flick on there when we go on to the next one. Okay, so the next one then, this is what I call the introduction, the intro to the hurl, right? Basically, and James will be delighted with it, right? So we have the little hurls on the floor. And again, to decide which is the dominant hand, I would always say, right, guys, I want your hands on your heads, your hips, your eyes, your ears, your nose. I'd always say, why'd you put it on your nose if you had your hands on your ears? Throw in a bit of crack and then just pick up the hurl. So I don't tell them which hand to pick it up with. They pick it up with their dominant hand, okay? And again, this is one that I wouldn't use until maybe halfway through the year. Get the kids getting used to their bodies first. And then we'll bring in the egg and spoon race, which is quite similar to the solo, where you're going in and out through the cones. Again, we've a little bit of competition, which is always healthy. Loads of different progressions. So this time you'll watch the boys again. They're going to go in and out through the cones, come to the end, and we're flipping it over into the hand. When you get the video sent out, the audio will probably be with it. Like I do tell them, put the ball in, or put the beanbag in the next person's hand. If you watch Ben that time, he went out without having the beanbag on the hurl. That happens when competition comes into it. There was a little flip the pancake, and again, throw it back in. Good catch that time. Loads of opportunities for success, loads of chances to praise them, and pretty simple, pretty easy. Keep it simple, stupid. It's not rocket science. Okay? And again, the last one, then we just speeded it up a little bit. That's why we had to drop there. And I did say to him, sure, don't be worrying about it, because I asked them to get out of their comfort zone. Okay? And back in we go. So next one then is the rainbow sandwich cone game. An absolute mouthful, but a load of crack. You can see the 2 poles. Each team has a pole. So all you have to do, the first person in the team has to run out, pick up a cone. Back in, you're only allowed 1 at a time. Off we go, guys. Put the first one facing that way. And the next one goes on top to create the sandwich. And then that way and that way. And we keep going up. And all you have to do is keep going until you fill up the pole. Okay? Again, if you have 30 kids and you have 5 or 6 or 10 of these poles, you can have loads of teams going at the same time. Again, if you divide it up into the small groups, it's a lot easier to manage it. Even with this one, I would do loads of conditions for different rounds where you have to match colours and so on. But again, loads of running in it, loads of accelerating, decelerating, hand-to-eye coordination, teamwork, a little bit of decision making, and loads of crack. And even at the end of this one, I said to them, how did you get on with that one, lads? And they were like, very good. So next one then, the under and over. Basically, a couple of lines of danger tape. This tape costs a tenner in a hardware shop. Absolutely fantastic. And what you do is you have one at a low level, the middle one at a higher level, and the outer one at a lower level. Again, starting off, it can be done with just cones out, pick it up and come back in. I have the boys using the little hurls and the beanbags as a progression from the intro to the hurl one, just to highlight the progression of it. So again, what I reiterate, and I did say it in the video, was the tape is lava. The kids love that kind of thing, so you don't touch the tape. So make sure you're jumping over it and ducking under it. And again, the fundamentals are there to be seen. Now this one, the video is a bit arseways, but sure, bear with me anyway. This one is called the balloon smash. So it's more or less volleyball, but with a balloon. So the balloon stays in the air longer, so it's giving them, the target is sitting up there nice and long, giving them a better chance of hitting us. You can go underarm, overarm, but what we're doing is we're developing the full range of motion in the arm, okay? And again, it can be left and right. It doesn't make any difference, okay? And if you have 6 or 8 kids in the group, just lengthen the length of the tape and you can have 2 or 3 on either side. Again, given loads and loads of opportunities to achieve success. Okay, so with the cone game, okay, loads of opportunities to bring in conditions, as I said to you. So round 1 would be just out, get any random cone back in. Round 2, we're going to make it a little bit harder. We're going to make you think, because the motor skills are part of this as well, right? It's not just coming down and working how your body works. We want to get you thinking and asking questions as well. So if they're in teams, the second round will run out and the first person brings back in a blue cone. The second person must get the top half of the sandwich to match the bottom half. So you have to watch what your teammate is doing. So straight away, we're bringing a little bit of teamwork into it. Then possibly for round 3, we have two players going at the same time. So straight away, we're increasing the amount of people who are out picking up the cones, and each player must pick up the same color cone. So what we're looking for is, we're looking for a little bit of spatial awareness. We're looking for keep the heads up so you see what your partner's at, and then bringing back in the two cones together. Okay, I'm really disappointed that the audio is not on this, because it's not doing the video justice, but you're looking at what can we do, right? Send her on then, Dara. Okay, last couple of games then, right? So this one is balloon dash. Basically, reusing the red and white tape. I love to pick 2 or 3 activities using the same equipment. So we have the same tape and the balloons. All you have to do is flick it up and back the balloon back in. Now, if you look at Finn at the top, he finished first because he carried the balloon halfway in. That's fair enough, because that's what you're going to get at a nursery. You're going to get kids who are, if they can't bat it back in, they'll carry it in. So what about it? They're still getting they're still getting half the benefit of the game, and the rest of it will come to them. There's no big mad panic. And it's funny enough because I asked the boys and they said out of all the activities, that one was the hardest one. I thought it would have been the easiest. Okay, this one is the wall to cup. Again, starting off nice and simple, ping pong ball and a cup. We used the ping pong ball already, so we're reusing the equipment. Off the wall, let it bounce and then try and catch it in the cup. So off the ball, the bounce. And the reason I let him have the bounce is that it stays in the air longer and they're able to keep an eye on the ball. Okay, if you look at Max that time, I asked him to switch hands. Okay, so he was catching with his right hand the first time and his left hand the second time. Brilliant. So there's your little progression. And then progression 3 is going to come in now. Oh, hold on. I'm ahead of the posse. Yeah, they're going straight into the cup without the bounce. So they're taking the bounce out of it. So the more adapting they're coming to it, I'm changing up the challenge, right? And then we're going to bring an external factor into it. So we're going to get someone else to throw the ball to them. Great chance to get mum and dad involved again. Okay, you don't have to have much of a sporting background to be able to do this one. Okay, but again, you're absolutely improving the experience for the guys and also for mum and dad. Now this one is a reaction game. I like to use this one to finish off. So you'll have 2 lines. It's a great way of getting the parents on one side and the kids on the other, or mixing them up, or whatever you want to do. So if you have 60 kids in your nursery, you'll have a line down the middle where you have them all together. So for me, I use the word banana a lot because I don't know, I have an affinity with monkeys. So, okay, guys, on the word, I'm going to say banana. So I'm telling them what to do. Banana! And they grab it. Okay, next one then. So again, you can bring in the conditions: hands on your head, hands on your shoulders, sitting on the floor, stand up on one leg. No, the other leg. Very good. I want you to spin around 360, shake hands with the person in front of you, say, how do you do? How do you do? Get the bean bag or banana. Okay, and the last one then, I don't know why, but I always end up with animals, and I think kids can really associate with them. So the last one I always have, okay, so what noise does a cow make? Moo. What noise does a sheep make? Bah. What noise does a lion make? Roar. What noise does a monkey make? Ooh, ooh, ooh. What does the monkey eat? And they pick it up. Okay, now you can see Max is breaking his heart laughing because he's enjoying it. The one thing I will say to you, right, is, okay, Max and Finn on the left here are 11-year-old twins. Anna is the wife in the pink, and Ben is my other son here in the blue. Okay, so for these guys, I took loads of takes to get these right. Okay, so some of the time the activities will be too hard for the kids, or they feel that they can't do it. A big thing that we have in Wexford, and a big mantra that we all use, is when a child says I can't do it, we like to say, can you add yes until the end of it? So I cannot do it yet. And that's what we're all about in the nursery, providing the opportunity, providing the facility where they can come, make their mistakes, and eventually through repetition achieve their goals. Okay, now another thing I will say is the progression in these, I have speeded up all the activities to try and get as many progressions in as possible. Okay, that's not going to work in the nursery because everyone develops at different rates. So for instance, the one where you're throwing the ball against the wall, you might get a couple of weeks of sessions out of it, depending on the developmental rate of the kids. But again, what about it? So we have a whole year, and I firmly believe that a whole year should be spent on this, just to develop the fundamental movements and the motor skills. Okay, James or Dara, flicker on there then, please. Okay, so your resources. James touched on them earlier on, right? So this guy, the Turris card, every time you go to a Turris workshop, you win a prize. It's this fella. So no matter what age group you're with, the card correlates to that. It has helpful tips on the front and a few activities and stuff on the back. Okay, Facebook and Twitter. We're really lucky in Wexford, right? Our full-time staff in the coaching office, the GPOs and the GAAs, we're a really close bunch. We're friends inside and outside of work. We share everything that works and that doesn't work. There's a healthy competition there between us to keep reinventing stuff and come up with new ideas. And we love to share it on Twitter and Facebook. We have a saying that if it's not on Twitter, it never happened. Okay, so that's great, two great resources for you. Leinster GAA learning resource, right? So the Turris is led by Leinster. These webinars tonight, it's an initiative that was spearheaded from Leinster. Any of the coach ed that you can go to avail of. Again, the Wexford GAA website, all of our stuff is up there. And again, just contact the coaching officer and we'll help you. But the big one for me is the kids themselves. Okay. Again, the layout mightn't work for everybody. I've been at sessions where I've ran my session and I've looked over and 2 or 3 kids are after taking out a bag of balls and they're overplaying their own game in the corner. Okay, is that a success or a failure? It's an absolute massive success because the kids have getting a little bit of independence. They're doing their own thing. They're actually in effect coaching each other. Okay, so this is the kind of behaviour, this is the kind of thinking that we're hoping to get out of our nursery. Okay, Dara, flicker on. I think we're coming to the end. Okay, so listen, guys, I've spoken an awful lot more than I thought I was going to tonight because the audio didn't work on the videos. So when we're sending out the videos, we'll make sure that the audio comes with them. There's a bit more understanding with it. Listen, I was taken a bit aback when Ray and the guys asked me to do this webinar because I thought, sure, who in their right mind is going to listen to me talking for an hour about nursery? But then I thought, well, sure, it's not about me, okay? And that is the inspiration that I had for the webinar, because the nursery is not about us. It is totally about the child's experience, and it is totally child-led. And if we can park our egos outside and put on the best show for the kids, there is a time for being serious in your planning, and once you get there, the fun starts. Okay, so look at, as I said, yeah, this is how we operate. It mightn't be for everyone. If everyone takes 1 or 2 little things out of this tonight, absolutely brilliant. If it's food for thought and it's making you question, or it's making you question yourself, or in fact, if it's compounding what you're doing in your club, it's absolutely brilliant. And again, I just want to say, if you want any help, just feel free to contact us here in the coaching office. Okay, so I'm going to hand you back to Ray now if there's any questions before we start or head off.
Yeah, we have a couple of questions in there. I might be echoey there. Am I okay?
No, you're okay.
Good. Now we have a few questions in here. So keep firing them in, lads, and we get them if we can. All right. So I think the first one I saw from earlier on was a guy from Tig. I think it's Brendan or Brennigan. I can't see his second name, but so any thoughts, Alan, on how we get the parents involved, whether they have a background in GAA or whether they don't? I think it's the $1 million question, but for me, I won't take over from you. I'll pass on to you now in a second. But for me, with the experience I'd have in this area, would be, showing them that there's nothing to be afraid of is a big help. With traditionally nurseries could be mixed up with under 6 and under 7 training, where the first thing that happens is a helmet goes on and a hurl goes in the hand, or they're given a football with gum shields, and that then straight away turns to hurling and football. So training, whereas this nursery is an active nursery. It's a proper run nursery, and it's the easiest coaching you'll ever do. It's the funnest coaching you'll ever do. I think getting that message across will help a lot, and showing the parents that there's nothing to be scared of. I think developing some kind of a community, making it feel like a community that that all the parents are more than welcome, and are basically we long for parents to get involved. So making them feel welcome and making them feel like they're part of something special is a huge help. If you want to add to that, Al?
No, I agree 100%, Ray, and I think it's kind of that you hit the nail on the head, where it's not a training session. The nursery is completely different to a training session. It is a fun experience to create a GAA for the club. And I hope that question came in earlier on in the night, because yeah. I would have hoped that the videos and even my little bit of talking over them, there's ample opportunities to get the parents involved. Even where the one where he's holding the football or throwing the bucket up in the air or pulling the hula hoop. And the thing about it is, I know from me personally, when I started, I hadn't a great knowledge when I started, but I had, which was 15 years ago, but I had a kid, and I wanted to be involved, and I wanted to be part of it. I didn't want to just go down and be dad standing on the sideline. So eventually I started scuttered my way in, and look, at one thing led to another, and I think that's the way. As long as you don't force stuff down people's necks, people, a lot of parents will not volunteer, but they won't turn you down if you ask them. And I think that's the way to go about it. Get as many people, and you said it is, we're creating a community. We ourselves have a community of coaching, but the parents have a community as well. And once you can create that sense of safety, and like everything that we've said for the nursery for the kids applies to the parents as well. So create a space where you can get 4 or 5 mums and dads to come down and roll around, and without fear of lads on the sidelines saying, what are those Egypts at, when the kids are absolutely loving it. And I think if you go down with that attitude and that mindset, you're on to a winner. Anyone else?
Yeah, I've another question, another really useful one again from Owen. It's about noticing the children can't really run properly anymore. You know, again, is there any tips on that? Again, I'll start it off and I'll pass over to you if you don't mind. Kind of looking at it is a problem, and it's probably a problem I noticed that for me it's a society problem. And when I was a young fella not too long ago, we were climbing trees and jumping over ditches. We were out and about, cycling on bikes, whatever. We were into mischief probably more than anything, but we were out and about more than kids these days are. And that's just a natural consequence of life. So if the movements are not naturally out there anymore, then I suppose we have to artificially put them in. That's exactly what the active nursery is about. So the movements that we do in the nursery, they used to be probably more natural for all of us, in my generation anyway, and a little bit older than me, a little bit younger than me too, but it seems to be gone from our society at the moment. Artificially putting them in the likes of animal movements, high knees, marching, all those movements will help develop the running skills of children, and they're easily done, and it starts in the nursery. I think children now, and I'd see it in schools, there's some children in the older age group, 6th class, first year, and they're going into secondary school and they don't have the fundamental movement skills to run, and it's probably because they didn't have the active start in life. We'd be hoping in Wexford point of view anyway, that if we have every club in our county with an active nursery and an active start doing the right things, that we'll be developing every child, whether they go on to play hurling and football or whatever they choose to do in life, that by the time they go to secondary school, they'd have those movement skills that will aid them for the rest of their life. So in terms of the games, I think Al kind of touched on all those games that Al touched on today in the videos will help with that. Would you agree, Al?
Absolutely. I think that I can't add any more to that. I think you hit the nail smack on.
Good stuff. That's a nice compliment, Al. Richie Flynn, I'm going to ask you to come in because you have 2 or 3 questions there and they're really relevant questions. So if you can open up your mic and we'll have a conversation about it if you can.
Anyone else but Richie?
I will put Al on the spot, that's all. In there, yeah.
Yeah.
Good, yeah. Let's see now. The first one, I suppose, Al, I had, if I can flick back down along.
Introduce the hurl, is the first one.
Yeah, what age would you introduce a hurl, or depending on where you're from, a hurley? For me, it's a hurl anyway, but that's a different day's conversation.
It's only a hurl. It's always going to be.
Yeah, it's a hurl in Wexford anyway. As in, not the small one that was in the.
No, like no, but the let's say the hurl to your hip or to the end of your wrist.
Okay.
Start bringing in that and starting them early skills.
For me, and it's purely personal, okay, and it's only my opinion. The first year, the active start of the nursery, the biggest I would use is the small hurl. All right, and it's just solely to develop and give them an understanding of how the body works. And then after that, for like you're talking, so 4.5, 5.5, so under 6. So an under 6, or sorry, a 6-year-old playing under 7, it would be that kind of that age. So
yeah.
Now put it this way: if the child was at home swinging the hurl, it wouldn't be taking out their hand either. I'd be encouraging it too. But the nursery is the active start nursery is a different kettle of fish, and I think that's why it has been confused in the past with almost like a small hurling session.
Yeah.
Yeah, I come in there as well, if you don't mind. See, a lot of kids in this age would have the hurl in their hand at home, and be it with the parents. I'd imagine you've a young boy, and I'd say he's had the hurl in his hand since he's probably 2, probably swinging on a hurling ball. So it's kind of, some kids will come to your active start nursery, and they'll already have the skill. Some of them will be able to jab lift the ball, they'll be able to strike it. You know, a lot of that work comes from the work at home. And I definitely don't want to discourage that. I would encourage that. If you want your children to play hurling at home, absolutely go for it. I think in terms of the active start, for us, it's more about the enjoyment and keeping it coming back. I think a lot of kids at this age, if you put a helmet on their head and give them a hurl in their hand, and the first thing that happens is they get a whack of it of one of their friends, they're less likely to come back the next week. Whereas if they're doing the fun games and learning the movement skills, I think you keep them engaged for the year and build their love for the game, and they'll come back a year later. And that's what we hope to achieve with this.
Yeah.
Go on then, next one, Rich.
Yeah, because I suppose I've been involved with a couple of years, but hopefully not that often it happens. But any advice on how to deal with, number one, I suppose, a difficult child maybe taking over the group, or number two, a difficult parent?
Put me on the spot, sure, huh? Have you an info on that one, Ray, or do you want me to?
You go first on this one, and I'll come in. No, like, look, we work in schools. Me and Al have worked in schools for a number of years now, and you know, there's going to be children who don't take to your game. The best thing you can do, as Al said, at this age group is keep them all as involved as much as possible. The more equipment, the better in that. They don't like sharing. If they have a ball each, if you're doing some sort of game with a ball, they have one each, a bib each. Keeping them engaged as best as you can is all you can do at this age, really.
Questions and answers section now.
Yeah. How are you, Willie?
Willie's coming in for the answer to that one, I think.
You coming in to answer that one, Willie?
He's gone like a shot.
Sorry, lads.
Yeah, all right. So yeah, Richie, like, you know, just all I can say, you plan as best you can to keep them as busy as possible, so they don't really have time for I suppose, to be as difficult as you'd say. Keeping them busy and keeping them occupied is what I try to do anyway.
Yeah, I'll concur with that, and I'll just add, I would definitely wouldn't single them out anyway. I think to be fully inclusive, sometimes it actually it's a cry, it's a bit of a cry for attention. So make them the center of attention for the game. Okay, so if Richie is acting the pup, so we're going to include Richie, and every time before we get to such and such, Richie has to touch the ball. Keep you engaged. For me, with parents, yeah, over the years, I've probably came across one or two mammies who be giving out. I remember when I started first, George O'Connor gave me one piece of advice. He said, Al, if you're ever on the sideline and you see a mammy coming at you, he said, put your arms out as wide as you can and hug her as hard as you can. He said, few mammies can resist a hug. Now, look, that's worked a few times, but I find if you can be as transparent as you can with parents, right, and you tell them this is why we're doing stuff, you are going to get people who question your beliefs, right? And I firmly believe, and I know Damien is of a similar mind to me out with you guys, that you back your beliefs 100%. Okay, so, and if you at the start of the year have everybody on board and they understand why we're doing certain things, and we're all on the one page, it kind of eliminates elements further down the line. But is that anyway good to you?
No, fair play, good stuff. Thanks a million.
Are you done?
No, there's one other one actually, just about, has this been rolled out, I suppose, the guidelines in the future in Wexford or county-wide?
Yeah, I come into that one. This is part of the grand plan, I suppose, Richie. It's kind of got scuppered now with the COVID-19, but certainly part of our remit in Wexford is to have an active nursery in every club. It's something that we'll be heavily promoting and offering upskilling onto all clubs, and we'd hope they take it up and take it on board, and kind of, I suppose, move away a little bit from the under-7 hurling training and treating that as their nursery, and actually having a fundamental active start nursery for the 4 to 5 year olds. So yeah, it is something that we'd hope to roll out county-wide.
Thanks, lads.
No bother, Richie. Thanks. Thomas Cronin got back and said that he's a Limerick man. Coaches 6 to 8 year olds in Limerick, Al.
Yeah.
And he made a good suggestion for getting parents involved. Coaching coaching officer within the club, if there's an active coaching officer in the club, get them to coach the parents and make them feel comfortable at the start of the year. I think that's a very useful tip as well.
Yeah, and just to sort of compound that in Wexford, so any club who has the benefit of having a GPO, so the games promotion officer, that would be one thing, and that's which would correspond with our tourist nurseries. Like anyone who has a GPO who's lucky enough to have it, utilize your GPO to get your nursery up and running, to upskill your coaches. And the joy of having it like that is it's all in-house. So everyone, it's a nice, relaxed, comfortable setting. Everyone knows each other, and you know, use them when they're there. Okay, but ultimately the one thing I will say about the GPO, and I'm glad it's actually triggered it, is don't make your nursery totally dependent on the GPO. Okay, utilize them to get it up and running and starting, but then it has to be organic from the club. It has to be nurtured and grown from the club, by the people of the club, for the people of the parish. Okay, right before Richie goes, I just like to say, guys, Richie, I know Richie out in Ratnure there, and they have a fantastic nursery out there called the Busy Bees, and anybody who wants to check out how a nursery should be run, completely different layout to the one I was talking about tonight, but that's the difference. It's not going to work for everyone, but they're still very successful. I'll be shocked if I don't give a shout out to my own two clubs that I'm GPO for, the Harriers and Kilmore. Okay, so guys, thanks for tuning in for me tonight. Ray, back to you then to wrap it up, I suppose.
Yeah, we have a couple more questions, Al. This is a good one. I'll pass over to you straight away as well. Is how do you keep kids who are a little bit more or a lot more advanced interested? For me, it's kind of the progressions and the regressions of the exercises, but I'll pass over to you on that one. And that's from Enda Halpin.
Enda, how are you doing? Good one. So remember I mentioned earlier on for the roll call at the start. The roll call gives you an opportunity to hand out the bibs as the kids are coming in, right? So after a week or two or whatever length of time it takes, where you notice that there's a certain, just say if you had 6 or 7 guys who are a little bit stronger than the others, that allows you then at the start to group those guys together. Okay, they can still do the same activities as all the rest of the kids are doing, but as Ray said, you can either tweak up the intensity, you can change the rules up a little bit just to keep them challenged, and then, as I said, you bring them all back together at the end for the inclusive bit. But it definitely, I wouldn't see an issue in grouping similar abilities together.
And what about, sorry, Thomas Cronin, what about moving them kids up to an older age group, the age group above them, if they're that advanced? We find out a bit that there's always 3 or 4 kids that we would move up because they're kind of bored with the nursery.
Yeah, I'll come in there, Al, on that.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. So that Thomas, was it? I can't remember.
Yeah.
For me on that, when you look at the tourist principles, there's kind of 4 or 5 different I suppose areas that you'd look at with kids. So skill wise would be one. So children generally get moved up in the ages if their skill is good, so they can strike the ball cleanly at under 7 out of hand. They're going to go up to under 9s. But there's other areas like maturation. Are they physically strong enough to go up? While their skill level is there, they might not be physically strong enough. They might not have the mental capacity to deal with going up an age grade. They mightn't have the game awareness. There's 4 or 5 different areas that you'd have to look at before I'd consider moving a child up. Are they competent in all the areas, or are they just really skillful? Think back to, I suppose, I could think off the top of my head several players who were very skillful and moved up through the years, and because they're skillful and never quite made it at the top then. I'm not suggesting for me it's because they never developed the other areas, but I do believe that if you're going to be moving children up between the age grades, they should have more than just the skill required. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, that's a great point, because I probably did just look at the skill level, maybe not all 5 of them, but maybe 1 or 2 of them. But yeah, look at the 5 aspects of it. It does make sense now, actually. Thank you very much.
No bother, and thanks for joining us from the Piercing. In fairness, it's a great club down there.
Yeah, no, fabulous presentation.
Thank you very much. I think I'll be 1 or 2 more. I think Steve, I got a yearly or monthly plan for sessions. So you put up a session plan, or would you do up a monthly one or a yearly one? I think that's from Gavin over in London. Gavin, how are you doing, buddy? Delighted that you tuned in. Look,
For me, I have what I did tonight was I tried to just give you a snapshot of what goes on inside my head, right? So there's 16 activities there, and if you use 6 per session, that's 3 sessions. Sorry, 18. That's 3 sessions. But if you change up and you don't use the same 6 each time, you could get 5, 6, 7 different sessions out of using the same types of games. For me, I would go. I personally I go week to week, because it allows you then to, like, if you don't have the same coaches every week, it allows you to plan a bit for that. For guys who would be more sort of into their planning, like, the portfolio of games is there. Take as many as you can. They'll organically grow anyway, because I guarantee you, I'll perform a game on Monday night and I'll go out on Tuesday night, do the exact same game, and something will trigger from the kids and we'll go in a different direction. So it's kind of like a bank of games that you can plan your sessions. It will depend also on the rate of development of the kids, right? And I'd be adamant about not forcing it and not trying to push them on before they're ready. But again, it comes down to your philosophy and your own coaching style.
Good stuff, Al. I think, and Gavin, if you're listening, I say you should still be there. We'll keep in touch anyway, and we'll share over a few ideas, a few session plans that you'll have them over in London. Just send us an email on that.
You can fly me over when this is all over if you like.
Right. Last thing then I'd say is that it's the last thing. Stephen Tyrrell put it in there about will we be back playing this year? We'd hope so, Stephen. Anyway, you know, we don't have the answer to that right now, but we are planning for it. We're doing a lot of work behind the scenes that we're going to release to the club soon on session plans and pathways and whatnot. But we do hope to be back in the field this year. Can't give you a definite answer for that, but we're all missing it, and we are definitely planning for the day we are back in the field. So, guys, we're going to leave it there. For us, it's been very beneficial. Some really good feedback from everyone in the group. Really good work, and thank Al especially for a lot of work that he put into this presentation. I think he showed his skills exactly what they were. Al's really passionate man when it comes to this age group. He's a top guy. So Al, thanks very much for sharing with everybody. Thanks to everyone who logged in tonight. Some huge numbers. And people from all over the world. We've people from Australia, from Asia, from America, from Donegal, Limerick, wherever you name it. We're delighted to hear that. And for us personally, we're back next week. We love sharing what we're doing in Wexford. We're back next week with Willie Cleary and Anthony Masters on coaching children. Looking forward to that one as well. I'd like to thank Dara on the technical side and James for coming in as well. And thank you guys for participating. Okay, this is recorded. I'll send it out to everyone. I have your email addresses, so I'll forward it on in the next couple of days. Okay, thanks, guys.